Hello again, I'm back. My name is Sandra and I'm a panel. Let's do more business. And the Ghana cedi continues to weaken against the major trading currencies, particularly the United States dollar. At the close of trading today, the cedi was sold at 5 cedis 28 pesos. This certainly has implications for businesses and individual consumers and the economy as a whole. If these effects happen every now and then, what can be the possible solutions to this? Joining me in the studio is Joy Business researcher and analyst Philip Namfuri to do the discussion. Thanks so much for your time, Phil. Now, we know all the problems of the cedi. We know we are still importing heavily. We know people are still quoting in dollar. But one will ask, what is the solution to all these problems?
Okay, Sandra, you can take it from two angles: short to medium term, long term solutions.
Right.
What are the short to medium term solutions? Bank of Ghana is in charge of the management of the foreign currency or forex in the country. Normally, there's this argument that government and it's blanket, but specifically, Bank of Ghana has that role. Government affects the cedi in a way, in this way. When there's something wrong with our fiscals, there's an implication. If they go and borrow euro bonds, for example, there's an implication. But the management of the currency is the Bank of Ghana's role. Okay, so what they can do is to pump in more foreign currency.
Short or medium term?
Short to medium term. Okay. That's the best thing they can do. Remember in 2014, the then governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Wampa, brought in some measures which more or less messed up the system, and they were reversed, and then we saw that things went back to normal. But now the short to medium term is to pump in and stabilize. And also the Bank of Ghana uses this monetary policy rate as one way of controlling currencies in the system, particularly the Ghana cedi, for it to affect the dollar, even for example. That's short to medium term. But Ghana doesn't operate in a vacuum. The US is an economy on its own. The Federal Reserve, that is akin to our Bank of Ghana, also has its own policy rate decisions. The last time they had a meeting, the rate was maintained at a certain level. So that fear of it going to go up, the dollar going to appreciate, was dimmed. But just this evening, CNN was reporting that the dollar has strengthened in value, which is a bit funny because everybody would expect that if the rate has been maintained, it should maintain its value. So every time the cedi is depreciating, it's not only because of our demand and supply factors within
it's because of other factors like
factors affect it, because the US has its own monetary policy. And for purposes of national accounting, for example, the reserves of Bank of Ghana, our reserves, about $7.something billion, is computed in dollars. Most of these things, to play on the international level, we did a computation in the dollar. So the dollar is needed for our market. We've seen other economies like Nigeria, Zimbabwe, for example, trying to adopt it for currency because their currency went all the way down.
We'll be coming to that. But what do you say to people who say that speculation is also affecting the performance of the cedi?
That may be true, but it will be best seen by currency dealers in the market. They will have a better view, especially the bankers or currency dealers or even forex bureaus, because anytime somebody feels that it's going to go down. I've had a friend of mine calling me to tell me that he fears the cedi is going to depreciate and he's going to go to school next year. So he wants to go and change all he has and come and keep it in dollar. That's one example of a problem. Okay, so going forward, some advance an argument that we should look at other currencies.
Yes, I was going to ask you. I mean, we've seen the South African rand doing very well because they put in a lot of measures. When you go to South Africa, it's difficult for you to have access to the dollar because they want to strengthen their currency. But again, we have not been able to do that. I said earlier that we still depend heavily on import. We quote in dollars. When you go to the port, transactions are done in dollars. Hotels quote in dollars. Do you think that it's about time we start looking at other currencies as a possible means of transacting business, or we make it our currency as well, perhaps the dollar or the pounds?
Okay, so British pound is used, euro is used, dollar is used, one in yen. One is for China, and then Japanese yen are used internationally. And these currencies I've mentioned form part of the IMF's basket of currencies. But given the dynamics of other economies, which I don't want to go too much into tonight, Japan, China, no. US, given their policy rate direction, how the Federal Reserve comes to gives guidance. Exactly, that's the word I was looking for. The dollar is the best for us now.
So you think that we should be eyeing the dollar as a major currency, or?
I wouldn't say that, but for now, like I said, for purposes of national accounting, etc., we use the dollar. Pound and euro also used. There was this time that the Ghana Cedi depreciated by the most against the pound and the euro and even the dollar for a certain year. I think that was in 2017, around the third quarter.
So it's not only in the dollar.
Yeah, so moving pressure away from the dollar to other currencies, yes, you might say it's an argument, but you have to still check your fundamentals and check the monetary policies of other countries. Because if you look at Japan, for example, they were doing some negative rates for some time. How would that affect us? That's another story. If you look at China also. So we need to weigh all these options.
So, yes, obviously, we shouldn't be eyeing other currencies. Yes, we still depend. We should pump in more dollars into the system. One will ask, what is actually the way forward in resolving this issue?
Sandra, our problem is structural. And by structural, I mean the way our economy is built. We are not producing enough. There's no productive efficiency for us to produce a lot at a lower rate and bring in. And since we were kids, they've been, since I was a kid, I don't know your age, we've been asking for value to be added to stuff. All these things are supposed to be done to bring in more. But at the same time, right now, management, short to medium term, is what we're supposed to be like. What was being done in Nigeria at the beginning of this year. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Philip Namfuri, and do enjoy your Val's Day and Chocolate Day as well. All right. So to other stories now. The World Bank Country Director, Henry Kerali, is calling on government to fast-track reforms that could help improve the country's exports and local consumption. Henry Kerali tells Joy Business this strategy could help deal with the cedi's challenges in the medium term.
As Ghanaians, you and other Ghanaians could begin to look at is, do we need to be eating imported rice when we can grow rice in Ghana, as an example? As a broad principle, yes, stability is number one. Stability of the macro, stability of the fiscal. It's not a sufficient condition, but it's a necessary condition for other things to move. But your broad point about fast-tracking reforms and fast-tracking implementation is well accepted, and we fully agree with that as the World Bank, that government needs to implement faster some of these reforms in order to achieve a faster growth, in order to achieve faster growth in agriculture, because, as I said, a lot of our food import bills in Ghana, $2 billion, could be substituted by local production. So you will immediately reduce pressure on the cedi by doing that.
To the commodity markets now, crude oil went up marginally to be sold at $61.88 a barrel. Time now to check out the commodity news. So that's how we wrap up tonight, the Val's Day, the Chocolate Day edition of Business News with me, Sandra Esenamafenu. I have my golden tree chocolate here, and I'm going to use it for my Val's Day celebration. Thanks so much for watching, and do enjoy your evening.